Hey, everybody. Happy weekend. What a great time of day. Friday workday is about to be over, and now we get to enjoy 1.5 days off. Jamie and Adam here. Yeah, right? I mean, well, it's not like you guys are doing it. Not like we're not doing anything on Saturday either. Anyway, yeah, what's up, Jamie? How we doing?
I'm glad your day is almost over. I still have HQ hit and 3 stories to write. So congratulations to
3
you.
stories.
Yes, I write
DFS?
a story for Sportsline.
Uh-huh.
I write a teaser for the story for Sportsline, and then I write the sleepers column for Friday.
Right. Yeah, whatever. I can do one of them for you if you'd like.
You can do all of them. Why don't you? Maybe Dan should do one since he's taking Fridays off every week.
Yeah, it's just me and Jamie today, and we're gonna find out how do you make fun of Dan when he's not here. I have a feeling we'll be able to pull it off. Chris actually might be joining us shortly, so let's do some news and notes. Actually, new and note. So I only have one thing. It's that Garrett Wilson. I'm sorry, I didn't even take it seriously when I saw he was on the injury report, but he really is questionable. May not play this week, Jamie. So we got to see. But
I thought Salah said he feels pretty good about it.
Okay, let me check. Because I thought he expressed some reservations. But let's just say he's out. Would that mean you're sitting Zach Wilson this week?
I would sway it. 100%.
Anything for would it mean anything for Tyler Conklin?
More targets, so make him more appealing, but really would make the Bills DST one of the top plays of the week.
All right, so Robert Saleh said we'll see about him playing, and there's a couple of hurdles he has to clear, but he also said he felt good about Garrett Wilson playing. So just be prepared, I suppose. There's a chance that Garrett Wilson will not play this week. All right,
that is the main CBS game where Nance and Romo will be. So we'll have some insight on that definitely Sunday morning on CBS Sports HQ.
All right. And he apparently, according to our producer, Zach Brooks, said that he's going to play, not Zach. Zach's probably going to play, whatever, but Garrett Wilson expects to play. All right, that's better news. I was going to promote the newsletter for Chris, but Chris isn't here yet, but I'll promote it anyway. Go to cbssports.com/newsletters, and you can see all of our newsletters, and the Fantasy Football Today one is perfect for you, right in your inbox every day. Rankings, trade talk, well, whatever it will be now down the stretch. Chris is great at aggregating the news. So go to cbssports.com/newsletters. I have a rule for trades, and I hope there's no disagreement that if you're eliminated from the playoffs in a non-keeper or non-dynasty league, you should not and cannot make trades. Agree or disagree?
So officially eliminated, like there's no chance you make the playoffs whatsoever?
Correct.
Yes, I agree. So I got a trade offer in our Superflex league, and I did not accept it. It would have made my team better, but it also would have helped the manager that I was trading with. And I did not think it was apropos for me to make a trade because my team is so bad.
Right. I was going to offer Jamie a trade last week, but I was like, no, he's eliminated. I'm not going to do that. This is my biggest chance for a winner, Jamie, my Superflex team.
Oh, nice.
Or I could not make the playoffs, as you know, but this is my biggest chance. If only I have a QB1 who just absolutely stinks this year, and people aren't talking. He's having such a bad year. If only Patrick Mahomes could turn his season around. Starting this week.
How many leagues are you in?
11.
How many of the 11 do you actually feel? How many 11 do you are going to make the playoffs?
I would say, unfortunately, anywhere from like 3, but I'd be surprised, to 6 or 7. The next couple weeks are huge for me. I got a lot of 5 and 5-ish teams.
So 4 are definitely out.
Actually, I don't think I've been officially eliminated in any league except the FFT Open.
Well, I mean, look, you could know some leagues that are out, right?
Probably Magazine and IDP, and probably 4 out.
Okay. So 4 out, 7 a chance to make the playoffs. That's good. And then you said, how many you feel like, okay, if things go right, I win this league?
2 leagues. I got a 9-1 team, and I've got the Dynasty League, the Superflex League. I think I could win.
Okay.
How about you?
It's a lot more to calculate, but 25 leagues. I would say I should make the playoffs in probably 16 or 17 of them for sure. No, I said I'm in a few situations like you, so I'll say 16 or 17 to be safe.
Wow.
And then probably 5 that like I should have a realistic chance that if I don't get any sniffing injuries, I'll be in the hunt.
Yeah, I had a third team that I thought would be great, but we have Mark Andrews, so it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do some emails. Fantasyfootball@cbsi.com. Fantasyfootball@cbsi.com. The letter I. Nathan is in a full PPR league. He needs a flex and a tight end. Nick Collins, probably Nico Collins. Noah Brown, JSN, Chris Godwin. We need one of them. Nico, Noah, JSN, Godwin. Nico. And a tight end. This is a rest of season question. Laporta or McBride?
Wow. You can't have both? There's trade?
I don't know. Maybe he just wants to know who to start rest of season.
I mean, I would go week to week. This week, I would go McBride.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll go McBride probably until Ertz is back, and then we'll see if that even matters.
And he also still has his bye, too. Laporta does not.
Yeah. From Hector, I need a flex. Deontay Johnson, Kareem Hunt, or Rashee Rice?
Deontay Johnson.
From Joe, trade deadline is this weekend. I was offered Jahmyr Gibbs for Breece Hall. I already have Montgomery. Do I do the deal and lock up the backfield, or do I keep Breece Hall to diversify?
I would keep Breece Hall to diversify, but I don't think it's a bad trade. And I don't think, as we talked about on Friday morning show, it's bad to have both those guys. I actually got an offer. We got an offer, my son and I, it's a father-son league, of a team that's trying to make the playoffs, offered us Jonathan Taylor for Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yep.
Oh, because Taylor's on a bye. Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense. Nick in Chicago. First time playing in a guillotine league, and it's crazy how stacked everyone is at this point of the season.
Yeah.
Is it too risky to play Cup and Achane in a guillotine league this week? My top alternatives would be Kirk and Debo. And by the way, Josh McDaniel just said that he's very optimistic about, or pretty optimistic about Achane playing, but he has to see how practice goes today.
What did Mike McDaniel say, though?
You know what? I said Josh McDaniel, so I took the S off, but I got the first name wrong. Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel said he's pretty optimistic about Devon Achane playing, and Dalton Schultz is on the Texans. That's what he said.
Yes, we are at the point in the season in guillotine leagues where every team is stacked. Like, this is my last like scary week in terms of my team missing players that I overspent for Tony Pollard and DJ Moore, to tell you where these leagues are. I had the most fab remaining, and now I'm down to second in fab. And the lesson I learned last year was I ran out of fab. I think I was in the final 4, and I tried to save it and save it and save it, but I just wanted to make sure I had somebody for this week. And like I said, somebody that I like this week. So I overspent for Pollard and I overspent for DJ Moore. I know that sounds funny to overspend for those two guys where they've been, but they were the 2 best players available. And then I did overspend also for Jonathan Taylor for the stretch run. So you want to make sure you have, just the ability to survive. I think Cup is definitely safe. Achane is probably a little bit risky, just because there could be a limited workload. But look, if he hits, you're going to have the chance to have the highest point total for the week based on how your team may be constructed right now.
I have a question here. So Guillotine League, I've never played in one. Guillotine League is you start with what, 18 teams?
18 teams.
And the lowest scoring team gets eliminated every week. All of that team's players become available in a fab bidding process.
Yes.
So when you get to, let's say, 3 teams left, are there a lot of studs on the waiver wire at that point that you can just get for free?
Oh yeah. I mean, not for free. I mean, because yes, you'll get some studs for free. So I'll just tell you right now. We're down to 8 teams left, 7 teams left. Here are the quarterbacks who are available. Brock Purdy, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr. Those are the top ones. The running backs who are available. This is just, you can pick them up right now. Ty Chandler, Alexander Madison, Deontay Foreman, Chuba Hubbard, Damian Pierce, Zach Moss. I'm trying to think if there's one that stands out. No. Chandler would probably be the best. Wide receivers who are available. Drake London, Gabe Davis, George Pickens, Romeo Dobbs, Rashid Shaheed. And this is based on their total points. So Brandon Cooks, for example, is available. And then the tight ends are Cole Kmet, who I just dropped, David Njoku, Dallas Goedert, Jonnu Smith. So you see there's a lot of great players, but you just want to have, the best lineup. And I'll just tell you real quickly. Here's my lineup for this week. Tua, Tony Pollard, Jahmyr Gibbs, Deontay Johnson, Devontae Smith, Puka, DJ Moore, and Sam Laporta.
Yeah. But when you get to the 3 teams left or something like that, there are too many good play. Like, you can't roster everyone, right? So I
No, you
imagine
want to. It's basically you're playing DFS at that point. You want to have the best possible line in a tournament. You know, you're excuse me in a head to head. You know, your
no, but
best.
I guess I'm asking is, do you really have to save your fab if you make it that far? Because I imagine you can just pick up for free some very good players.
You can
Or
you
no?
you absolutely can, but you know you're giving the other person the ability to get the best player. You know, so let's just say, for example, we get to week 17 at that point, or week 16 at that point. There's 3 teams left, and injury occurs, and there's that. You know, I don't want to jinx anybody.
Yeah,
You know,
I get you.
that stud backup is there, and you have $1 and somebody has 3. You can't get them.
All right. Let's see from No Name here. Oh wait, did we even answer this? Would you play Cup and Achan, or would you play Kirk and Debo?
I would play. Why can't you do Cup and Kirk?
You can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
Hello.
What's
There he
up?
is.
I'm so sorry for being late. You know, I woke up early. I've had a productive start to the day, and I was like, "There's something I'm forgetting."
It was us. It's
I'm so
okay.
sorry.
This is from No Name. In a non-PPR league, who are you starting? Ken Walker, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, or Devontae Smith?
Just one.
Yeah.
Give me names again.
Ken Walker, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith.
I'm going Smith.
I think I'm going Smith as well. Yes.
From Todd, dear Joe, Steve, and Colin.
Joe, Steve, and Colin. I got nothing.
I just want to settle the funniest debate once and for all. So this was meant for me, Dan, and Jamie, but Chris, you can be
got to be. You're the funniest.
Adam is easily the funniest,
Not
unintentionally as often as not. So this was not necessarily a compliment. However, Dan's irrational confidence that he is the funniest is pretty hilarious. Jamie is the big brother who just sits above the fray, untouched, goading the two of you with his subtle, dry wit. I think it's time you all turned the tides and ganged up on Jamie. He will, of course, destroy you in the process, but it's definitely worth it. All right, let's gang up on Jamie. Chris, you go first.
I don't want to do that.
Nobody wants to do that.
I don't. Yeah.
I mean, you're putting Chris in an uncomfortable spot there.
I just got here.
Face.
I'm not even supposed to be working today.
It's true. This is from Bo. 2 QB league. Who do you bench? Josh Allen, Brock Purdy, or Kyler Murray?
Kyler's the smallest, so I could probably bench him the easiest.
See? Dry wit.
Give me the names again. I was just thinking of the joke.
Yeah, Josh Allen. Josh Allen, Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray. You have to sit one.
Kyler.
Yeah, I'm sitting Kyler.
I had the Ben in the chat says I had the same excuse as Towers to my boss this morning. I knew I was forgetting something. Here's one from Kevin. I have an extremely strange scenario in one of my leagues. News here. Oh, Damian Pierce returned to practice. Ugh.
Yeah, I don't love that.
Doesn't mean he's going to play, but Damian Pierce returned to practice. How far down would you move? What's his name? Devin Singletary.
You already forgot his name.
Texans. I can't remember their names. Devin Singletary. How far would you move him down if Pierce plays?
A few spots outside the top 24. So I think it's discouraging. I hope they don't take him out of the lead role, but they were basically splitting work before Pierce got hurt. So, maybe it's now 60-40 in favor of Singletary. At least that's the hope.
Yeah, and the problem is they're really outside of last week. This just hasn't been a great situation for the running backs, and it took 30 carries to get Devin Singletary to a great situation. So I think both of them would be outside of the top 30 for me.
All right, so the question from Kevin, he has an extremely strange scenario in one of his leagues. My opponent and I have absolutely no overlap in starters playing in the same NFL game windows. All of my players are playing at 1 p.m. None of his are playing in that time slot. Chris, How are you today? I have to sneeze, so I need you to just talk real quick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for asking, Adam.
It went away. I hate when that happens. I hate when it goes away. Just curious, have you ever seen anything like this? Seems like an improbable scenario and has me questioning if I should start a 4:25 p.m. guy like Lockett over Jerome Ford or Devon Achane just for peace of mind, so I'm not watching a lead dwindle into afternoon and Monday night games.
We sometimes get the like, should I start this wide receiver because my opponent has their quarterback kind of question. And I think that can be like a useful tiebreaker, but this is just, you're overthinking it. I think I get the psychological element that goes into this, but I think you're overthinking it. Just play your best players.
It's either going to be, man, look at that lead I have. That's awesome. Or, oh no.
Yeah, just don't look. Just
don't look.
Yeah. Right. Remember, you ever see that Simpsons episode where all the advertisements come to life? Just don't look. That's how you do it. And I sneezed. I'm very happy.
I have a funny story related to that. One of our former producers, James Questel, he plays in a league with it's run by Malik Rose, who is a former NBA player, and he had a big lead on his opponent. And his opponent, it came down to, he had Nick Chubb. James had Nick Chubb. His opponent had Kareem Hunt.
Okay. We lose Jamie again. This is the second time today. We never lose Jamie. We lost him again. We've lost Mike.
I thought he was just taking a dramatic pause.
Yeah.
You got me back?
There he is. There, hey, Mike Face.
All right. So where was I in the story?
He had Nick Chubb. His opponent had Kareem Hunt.
Okay, so the Browns were chasing points, and Hunt kept racking up points, whatever. So James Q, we call him. Q was watching the score, and he was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! I can't believe I'm going to lose this." It was either a playoff game or it was to get into the playoffs. And so he's either talking to Malik or he's texting Malik. He's like, "Who is this guy that I'm playing against? He's killing me here. Who is this Tim guy?" And Malik goes, "Dude, that's Tim Duncan."
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Malik Rose, former Spur, former Nick. Yeah. Yep. Someone in the chat is saying that Noah Brown has been ruled out. Is that true?
I will tell you in a second. I was looking at.
I mean, I would be surprised if he's been ruled out at 12:30, but if he's not practicing today, it seems safe to assume then.
Yeah, you better not have fake news here, Morgan. But we were not expecting him to play it.
He has not practiced all week, so probably out.
All right. Thank you for the email, Kevin. This is from Dave from Boston. From Boston. Hi, Adam. I wanted to weigh in on your. Thank you, Chris. I wanted to weigh in on your Brussels sprouts combo from today. Yeah, I did not give a lot of love to Brussels sprouts. I hate them. Is it possible that you haven't had them in a long time, like since you were a kid? We're about the same age, and I remember back then, Brussels sprouts were the go-to disgusting food in kids' TV or commercials. I certainly hated them. Then I tried them again as an adult, and I liked them a lot.
There's two factors that go into this.
But there's a lot more in the email. Hold on. It isn't just aging taste buds. It turns out that this is because Brussels sprouts literally taste different now than they did 20 years ago. Back in the 1990s, Dutch scientists isolated the gene that makes Brussels sprouts taste bitter, and they bred them to lack that gene. They are literally sweeter and tastier now. Anyway, just thought you might give them another chance knowing that.
Brussels sprouts are great.
No.
But there's another factor besides that one, and that's when you think of Brussels sprouts, you think of like mushy, boiled, or steamed Brussels sprouts, right?
Yeah.
Those are gross. You got to roast them. You got to get a good char on it. That's the secret.
That's okay. I could feel that. Yeah, I don't really like Brussels sprouts if they're not baked, I guess, or whatever. But I bake everything.
Texas also signed a wide receiver to their practice squad. So when did Noah Brown get hurt?
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. No idea. Would you rather have Damian Pierce or Kenneth Gainwell rest of season, half PPR?
Pierce.
It's probably wrong to say Gainwell, but I feel like Gainwell. I mean, because one injury happens to DeAndre Swift, and that's a potential superstar. Like Damian Pierce has had the lead role many times this year, and now maybe the backup on a bad running team.
Yeah, Swift has not been running that well. I mean, I don't know what that means, but I would rather have Gainwell. I guess I don't really know if he has a superstar potential, but he has number 2 running back potential.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is from Doug. Okay. Thanks for the good, useful content and quality takes, except for Dan. I have Murray, I told you we could make fun of him without him being here. Murray, ETN, Connor, St. Brown, Adams, McBride, and Cup as my flex. I have Brian Robinson on my bench. How would you get him in your lineup? You'd have to sit ETN, Connor, Adams.
Easy.
You sit Connor for him?
Yeah. I mean, look, Connor is going to get a lot of work, but we've not really seen the role in the passing game. And last week was very troubling that he didn't even have a target. So with what Robinson is doing right now against the Giants, absolutely.
Did Antonio Gibson practice today? Have we seen that?
I don't know.
He hasn't practiced yet this week.
Let me check. And I asked that to Dave when Jamie decided he wasn't having
Antonio Gibson is not at practice today. Still bothered by a toe injury.
I thought that's what I saw.
Yeah, I think I'd go with Robinson. I'm not a huge fan of his. I think the passing game stuff last week especially was a bit of a fluke. That was more Sam Howell than Robinson. But given the matchup, yeah, I think it's Robinson.
All right. Yeah, Gibson, I'm assuming, is not going to play. And our last email is from Aaron. Should I trade Tua and ride Justin Fields rest of season? Heath has made me nervous on the Dolphins. Could you trade Tua for Bijan, Swift, or Walker?
I feel like Heath's Dolphins concerns are a little overstated. Like, they've had a couple of bad games this year against good defenses. They also had a lot of really good games against good defenses last year. So I don't think that we're looking at a situation where, like, the Dolphins have just been figured out except by bad defenses. I think they're just a good offense. I don't know if I feel confident enough in Justin Fields staying healthy and remaining the starter the rest of the way.
I think, first off, if you can turn Tua into Bijan Robinson, I probably would do that.
Yes.
That feels like a no-brainer. The other part of this, though, is all of their bad games have been road or neutral sites. And so that matters. We see a lot of quarterbacks. I mean, we talk how many weeks in a row do we talk about Jared Goff home versus Jared Goff road, and Brock Purdy, look what he's done at home versus on the road in his short career too. So let's see what happens when Tua has some of these tougher matchups. And the tough matchups, yes, the Jets twice and Baltimore. What did we learn last night? Like, players get hurt all the time. and that's a big stretch of games before they get to the Ravens. He gets the Titans in there once. I know statistically they've been good, but it's in their building. He gets Dallas in their building. I'm not benching Tua for Justin Fields in those games. So, A, if you can make that trade, do it. B, just keep both quarterbacks too. Like, you could always just interchange them if Tua is struggling.
Yeah. And I would say, Justin Fields ran for 279 yards in 2 games against the Lions last year. So he could have a really good game and become the better trade chip here, because I do feel more confident in Tua moving forward. If I could get Ken Walker for Justin Fields, I might do that instead.
Right. And also, this is something with the trade deadline approaching. Look at the week 13, 14 buys. The Bears still have their bye. So you're going to lose them for a week too.
True. Yeah, so I don't know that I would say building for a outdoor venue. What do you think? I feel like a building has to be enclosed.
They have
it's got a little
roof.
hole.
It does have, it's got the canopy. But you say they could get them in their building. I'm not sure. No, I don't think they do. I think a building is
in their stadium.
There you go.
In their stadium.
Thank you. Finally. All right, we'll be right back with the Fantasy Cops on Fantasy Football Today. Welcome back, everybody. Here we go. Time to settle some league disputes. You got issues in your league? You send us an email, fantasyfootball@cbsi.com. Put Fantasy Cops in the subject line. Has to be in the subject line. Doesn't, you're under arrest. First one is from Aaron. Another one from an Aaron. I need some help on this one. A trade was made an hour before the Thursday night game. Travis Kelce for Mark Andrews and Tank Dell. The commish usually pushes the trades through quickly, but was unable to since he was at work. The game kicks off, and Andrews gets hurt. And now the manager receiving Andrews wants the trade nullified. What do we do?
Sorry.
Trade goes through. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
You don't get to like get new information and decide that a decision you made wasn't the decision you wanted to make. That's not how it works. Like, that sucks.
It
But
does
no,
suck.
no way.
Trade goes through. All right, next up. This is Dave from Virginia. I'm in a dynasty league with a progressive pot. Heath can explain, but it means some of the dues each year go into a pot that gets paid to the first person to win the league 2 years in a row. Well, thank you for explaining. I don't think I need Heath anymore.
Actually, can we call him?
Yeah, right.
I'm still a little confused.
All right, these leagues keep going until someone wins it twice in a row. I'm not competitive this year, and I want to sell my aging players for youth and future draft picks. Is it collusion if I only make those trades with teams that might beat last year's winner? The trades would be good for both sides, and it's in my interest that last year's winner not take the progressive pot.
Absolutely not collusion.
I mean,
It would
unless
be
you're just
collusion.
giving him players
Right,
and he's not giving
yeah.
you something, quality in return, then yes, that's collusion. But if you're just, you can decide to trade with only certain people in
Mhm.
your league. That's okay, as long as you're not, hey, let's get that guy, and I'm going to give you Travis Kelce for Tyler Conklin.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's collusion, then it's collusion. But just, I want to trade with certain teams to increase their chances of beating another team, that's not collusion.
Okay, so far pretty easy. How about this one? Maybe a little bit more difficult. I'm in a long-standing 12-team keeper league, and it's a very unique format that has 2 quarterbacks and 2 defenses. We all love the format, and that's why the league has lasted as long as it has. In order to prevent barren waivers on bye weeks in a 2 QB league, you can only roster the 2 QBs that you are starting. We also have the standing rule that you own a team's quarterback, not just the individual quarterbacks. For instance, if a manager owns Daniel Jones and he gets hurt, he would have the rights to Tyrod Taylor on the waivers, and no one else could pick Taylor up. So your options when your QB gets hurt are to either tough it out with the subpar backup until the starter returns, or to forfeit the rights to that team's quarterback by picking up another quarterback on waivers. Okay, we got that so far?
Mhm.
All right. In week 9, we had a situation arise in which so I think he didn't explain this, but I think Josh Dobbs got traded, and therefore the Arizona quarterbacks became basically up for grabs. No one had any rights to them because Dobbs is no longer on the team. That's how I'm interpreting this. In week 9, we had a situation arise in which 2 managers bid on an Arizona quarterback. One manager bid $5 on Clayton Tune, and the other bid $40 on Kyler Murray. The manager that bid $5 on Tune just happened to be the commissioner. The commissioner made an immediate ruling that he gets the Arizona QB rights because Kyler Murray was still not fully activated off of PUP, and he wouldn't have thought to bid on Kyler Murray. He claims that because Tune was the active starter, he should have been the only Arizona QB to be bid on. The issue is that we have never had a rule in which you cannot pick up a player on the PUP list. In fact, this league doesn't have any IR spots, so many teams are often forced to roster IR or PUP players on their bench. The other manager immediately took to arms and said that the manager who bid the most for any Cardinals quarterback should be the one to win him. The league took an unofficial poll in our group chat, and the unanimous decision was that the manager who bid the highest, regardless of which QB, should retain rights to the team QB. The league asked the assistant commissioner to take ownership of the situation since the commissioner was too close to the situation. The assistant commish followed the league majority and gave the Arizona QB to the team that bid $40 on Kyler Murray. The commissioner threw a tantrum and immediately transferred full commissioner rights to the assistant commissioner and left the league and left us to find someone else to take over his team mid-season. Was the league wrong in believing this way, or should we have just let it be? What do you think?
They did it exactly the way you want it to be handled.
I'm going to go ahead and say, given the rule that you can only roster the 2 QBs you're starting, who was the starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals in week 9?
Well,
It was Clayton Tune.
Right,
he
so
picked up the
play it
starting
out.
quarterback.
So play it out, right? So does that mean that, let's say they award it to the Kyler guy. Does that mean that he could have then dropped Kyler to start Clayton Tune?
He would have had to start. He would have either had to take a 0 in his lineup in week 9, or drop Kyler to pick up Clayton Tune.
But you can
in
roster
which
two
case,
quarterbacks, right?
You
can
only roster the
starting.
2 quarterbacks you're starting in that league.
But if you get the Arizona quarterback, you have rights to all of them.
Yeah, I mean,
Right. So the commissioner got the Arizona Cardinals starting quarterback.
It's not necessarily the starting quarterback, though.
It was the starting quarterback for week 9.
No. But there's no rule that says you have to get the starter in that situation. Like you have to get the
Fine.
quarterback.
Then the team that added Kyler Murray should have had to take a 0 in week 9. That's my position.
So first off,
I agree.
there's obviously things that arise where there has to be a new precedent set, and what they should have done is moving forward, whoever the league considers the best quarterback on the roster should be the one that they're trying to attain. Not who the starter is.
Right, because then you could. Well, I don't know.
Because what? Okay, so what if the scenario is?
Yeah.
He bid $5. I don't know how this works. If he bids $5 on that, and the other guy picks up Kyler for free and carries him, what happens the following week?
The guy who the Clayton Tune manager gets if they decided that whoever bid the highest on a Cardinals quarterback got him. So in that scenario, the Clayton Tune manager would have the rights to Kyler.
Okay, so then.
Oh, we lost Jamie again. All right, it's a weird league, right? Because you pick up Kyler even when he's not starting, and then you are allowed to then drop Kyler, pick up Clayton Tune, and nobody else is allowed to get.
Yeah, you have the right. That's why I think if you want to make it so that the person who added Kyler gets Kyler, that's fine. I think they should have to take a 0 for that week.
I don't think so. I think he did the right thing. It actually okay. This is more complex than I thought. Chris, you're bringing a very good perspective here.
Dan would have just agreed with me.
This is really interesting. I mean, obviously the commissioner was wrong for throwing a fit.
We're spending so much time on such a. I know we're trying to help them, but
I don't care about helping them anymore. Like my brain is messed up because Chris, I thought this was such an easy call, but Chris, you've really turned this upside.
Look, the league handled it. They handled it themselves.
Yeah, I guess
yes, good job. You handled it.
But what you don't want is you don't want. All right, let's say there's a scenario where Kirk Cousins got traded. No, Kirk Cousins got traded, not hurt. And now, let's just say hypothetically, Josh Dobbs and this is a bad example. Who's a good backup?
Well, no. But what if let's say Kyler Murray? They announced he wasn't coming back right before the deadline, and the team, and so someone adds Clayton Tune. So how would this work? Right? Let's say someone already has Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins gets traded to the Cardinals. Does the person who had Clayton Tune now get Kirk Cousins? That wouldn't seem right.
It's a good point.
I got one.
This is a dumb league, is what I'm saying.
Joe Flacco's on the verge of potentially signing with the Browns. What if Joe Flacco goes and works out for the Browns, and the Bengals also call, and they say we want Joe Flacco to go to the Bengals? So somebody picks up Flacco.
No, it's not how the Burrow manager would have. I think the Burrow manager would have the rights to anyone that they sign.
But wait, what?
No, but I'm not talking about the Burrow manager. I'm talking about the Browns manager. Then, so he goes to work out for
the Watson manager. Then, whoever you can't pick up Flacco. Whichever team he ends up on, the manager of that team's quarterback has the rights to Flacco.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. It seems like stupid. No, it's not. It's not. But what we should do is you should respect the opinions of everyone else in the league and not throw a fit. Okay. Thank you for your Fantasy Cop submissions. Let's get to your Apple Podcast questions. This is from Serge. Waddle or Puka this week?
Waddle for me.
Yeah, I have Waddle.
Josh from Canada. Dear Jamie, Bobby, Gordon, and Wolfgang.
It's famous chefs.
Who's Jamie?
I don't cook.
Yeah. I don't know who the other ones I know.
Jamie Oliver?
Sure. Half PPR, start 2 receivers and a flex. So give me 2 of these guys. Deontay Johnson, Tank Dell, Devontae Smith, half PPR. Oh, wait. And Garrett Wilson. and Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, and Jerry Jeudy. All right, you're not starting Madison. So basically pick 3 of this group. Deontay, Tank Dell, Devontae Smith, Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua.
I think it's Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, and Devontae Smith for me.
I would go with Devontae Smith, Garrett Wilson, and Tank Dell, especially with Noah Brown out now.
From Josh, Justin Fields or Kyler Murray?
Kyler.
I've got Fields right here this week.
From Dan Gibbs. It says from Wake Up 23. Hey, Dan Gibbs. Dan did his Jacob Gibbs impression on Monday. It was, well, let's see what Wake Up has to say about it. It says, when Dan started out his Jacob Gibbs, he started out perfect, and I almost fell off my treadmill laughing because it sounded just like him. Then he slowed down his voice, and it sounded like slow motion Dan. That was classic. I thought it was a really funny but bad impression. And Dan agreed that he needs to watch more tape before he does his Jacob impression. This is from a bunch of letters on Apple Podcasts. Start 2 running backs and a flex in PPR. Yes, full PPR, Dan. Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jerome Ford, Nico Collins, Tyler Lockett. We need 3 of them. Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Gibbs, Ford, Nico, Lockett.
The first 3 running backs for me.
I think, yeah, Jones, Pollard, and Gibbs.
From Future Glory, half PPR, 10-team keeper league, we keep 5 players. I traded Ramondre Stevenson for the 2nd pick in the draft, and I picked Jahmyr Gibbs. In season, I traded Travis Kelce for Jalen Waddle, and then I traded Waddle for Jonathan Taylor. After becoming impatient and frustrated with Gibbs and Olave, I traded Gibbs and Olave for Eckler and Sutton. I now feel I overplayed my hand and should have either asked for more or just kept what I had. Did I make a mistake? And if so, what can I do to fix it? So that would be trading Jahmyr Gibbs and Chris Olave for Eckler and Sutton.
How can you fix it? I don't know. I mean, trade back.
Trade Sutton. Like that would be, I think Sutton's a classic sell high candidate that's just getting touchdowns in a way that doesn't feel super sustainable. So I'd be looking to move him, but I'm not sure you're getting any kind of difference maker for him.
Right.
All right. This is from Cool for No Reason. I am the commissioner of a 12-team semi-dynasty league where each team keeps 6 players year to year with no round penalty or time restriction. How heavily would you lean towards either dynasty rankings or redraft rankings when considering value? It is tight end premium.
For keeper decisions?
Yeah, I guess so. You keep 6 every year, no limits, no draft pick penalties.
I mean, I guess you lean toward dynasty rankings in that regard,
Yeah.
if that's your decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have enough roster flexibility where it doesn't really matter how young you are? You're going to keep Stephon Diggs next year over
Drake London, yeah.
Chris Olave.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it like basically the first 6 rounds of every draft are going to be kept, more or less. It's not going to be perfect, but like, yeah, if it's Stephon Diggs versus Jerry Jeudy, who probably wouldn't be drafted in that range anyway, you clearly keep Stephon Diggs. If it's Stephon Diggs versus Christian Kirk, I think it becomes a more difficult question, but even then, I think you still look at it as a dynasty. You still look at dynasty rankings here.
Right, and you lean youth whenever you have the ability to.
Ben in the chat says they should do a Dan impression. Quote, I agree with Jamie. End quote.
Adam, you don't understand. If he says the answer first, why is it wrong if I just answer it? What's the problem there?
You don't understand how it works, Adam. It'll lecture me about it. All right, this is from Sean. Is there a statistic that expresses an individual quarterback's effect on the fantasy values of players around him over his career? I'm thinking of quarterbacks like Stafford or Cousins who have consistently serviced fantasy stars while not being particularly elite themselves, etc. What do you think, Chris? Is there a stat like that out there or a combination of stats that we could use?
I mean, the specific question of like Stafford and Cousins who elevate the guys around them without necessarily being elite in their own right. I think what you're looking for then is just quarterbacks who pass for a lot of yards and don't run and aren't necessarily great touchdown guys. I don't know like specifically if there's a stat for that, but yeah, I think you want high volume passers and high volume offenses. And then that's kind of the way you look at it. I don't know if there's a stat for that, but yeah, it's high volume passers rather than just great fantasy quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think in the preseason we do a solid job of highlighting which quarterbacks are good for which types of players. Like Aaron Rodgers falls in love with one wide receiver in the red zone every single year, and it was definitely going to be Garrett Wilson. We didn't see that play out. Some quarterbacks are better for tight ends, things like that. And yeah, Cousins always is a guy who can support two receivers a lot of times without being great. This year he was pretty damn great though. And last Apple Podcast question from Seth. 10-team PPR league. I'm 5-5. I made 2 trades today to boost my team through the playoffs. Can you grade them? The first one really just grinds my gears. How is this even allowed to happen? I gave up Demario Douglas for Breece Hall.
A+.
Okay, the second trade I made.
It's a redraft league?
I don't know. But
I'm trying to think of what kind of league would make this even close. Like a wide receiver premium where running backs get half points for their points.
Yeah,
even then, I think I'd still rather have Breece Hall.
No, there's no way to really justify it. But like we play in a league in one of our office leagues where it's half PPR for running backs, full PPR for receivers. And so if this is a dynasty league in that regard, then maybe.
Yeah.
I'm searching
you get
the
extra points for Patriots. I don't know.
He put D Douglas, and I'm searching the database to see if maybe there's like a defensive back or something. But nope, there's only one, Demario Douglas. Okay, so A+ there. The second trade is I gave up Gus Edwards and Josh Jacobs for Travis Kelce and Kareem Hunt.
That's a lot closer.
It's still an A+ though.
Oh, you think so? I don't think it's an A+.
So I'm assuming Demario Douglas wasn't starting for you. So that's a free Breece Hall. So replacing, if you take it in the full context where you added Breece Hall, so you're losing one of your starting running backs in Edwards and Jacobs, but you're replacing one of them with Hall, then yeah, I think it's pretty great.
I mean, if you just isolate what they've done lately, Kareem Hunt is kind of Gus Edwards.
Jacobs and Kelce, I mean, that's almost even to me.
I'd much rather have Kelce.
I'd rather have Kelce. I don't know that I'd much rather have him, but for his team, he already has Eckler and Breece Hall now. So, yeah, I think for him, I'd much rather have Travis Kelce.
Worth noting that there's some weather concerns in Rio that may delay one of Taylor Swift's performances, so she may not be able to go to Monday night's game, which could impact Kelce's appeal.
Is that in the newsletter, Chris?
I did not throw that one in the newsletter. Maybe I'll throw it in Sunday mornings.
All right, good stuff. We'll take a
you
break.
Also know how old a person is when they say the phrase "grinds my gears."
It's a Family Guy joke. Yeah, everybody, you know that one, right, Chris?
Yeah. What's his name? I can't
Peter.
remember his name.
His name is Peter.
Yeah, he's doing the guy from 60 Minutes.
Oh, Andy Rooney.
Yeah, he's doing an Andy Rooney bit.
According to Aaron Wilson of KPRC2 TV network in Houston, that Noah Brown will not be out more than a week or 2 with his knee injury.
Did Nico Collins practice today?
I assume yes. I did not say anything negative about that.
All right, listen, if you have any YouTube questions, fire away. We're going to take a break, which means on YouTube you have about 5 seconds to come up with your questions, and we will be right back on Fantasy Football Today. And here we go. Let's read some questions. Good or bad trade? Laporta, Waddle, Devontae for Lamb. Still have Justin Jefferson, Michael Pittman, Thielen, McBride, Schultz, Okay.
It's a big overpay.
Yeah. If it's like a 10-team league and you're in a situation where you aren't starting Laporta every week and you have to decide on one of Waddle or Devontae, then I can see the case, but very specific circumstances.
All right. Let's see. Would you trade Kelce and Howell for Kincaid, Aaron Jones, and Stroud?
100%.
I think that's close. This is another one that might depend on like who is Kincaid and Jones, or who is Jones replacing in my lineup? It might be the biggest determinant here.
And the second question was Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave rest of season.
Olave.
I would rather have Wilson.
If it was full PPR, I would take Wilson.
It is half. Kyler Murray or Josh Dobbs?
Dobbs this week.
Dobbs, yeah.
Kyler rest of season.
Would you drop Noah Brown or Pickens for Douglas, Beckham, Downs, Dotson, Cooks?
I would, yes. Probably both for two of those guys, just because Brown may be out for 2 weeks, and you have Nico and Tank Dell healthy. So we saw what that was like for him earlier this season, plus Schultz. And Pickens has basically been irrelevant since Deontay Johnson's come back. So I would probably, depending on what you need, if you don't need to start any of these guys, I would probably go with Douglas and Downs. If you do need to start one of them, I would go with Cooks and probably Downs.
Yeah. I might go Beckham over Douglas, but Downs is the clear one to add, I think.
Mm-hmm. Starter sit Khalil Herbert, James Cook, or Ty Chandler. Pick one.
Cook.
If there is no Madison, it's Chandler kind of easily for me. If there is Madison, then I would go Cook.
Mm-hmm.
Would you did that one? Sorry. Jalen Warren or DK Metcalf in PPR?
Metcalf.
And start two. Yeah. Puka, Moore, Debo. Pick two. Puka, Moore, Debo.
The first two, Puka and Moore.
Yeah.
All right. Michael Wilson or Jahan Dotson this week?
Dotson.
Yeah, I guess.
I grade the trade. I sent off Adams and Karen and received Breece Hall and DK Metcalf. Probably Kyron. Adams and Karen Williams for Breece Hall and DK Metcalf.
Hey.
I think that's more like a C+ for me.
Jamie is a very generous grader today.
Well, I think if both guys in their situations are at their best, we've seen Kyron Williams win at least a small sample size when Cooper Kupp came back and his passing down work was terrible. So I'll take Breece Hall significantly over Kyron Williams, and DK and Adams is basically like a wash at this point. But the running back upgrade to me is huge.
All right. Singletary or Derrick Henry?
Henry, even if Pierce is out.
Yep. Agreed.
Who's a better stash? Rico Dowdle, Jerick McKinnon, or Brandon Cooks?
Just purely as an upside stash, it's Dowdle.
Yep.
Ingram or Kmet?
Kmet.
Going Ingram.
Fields or Dobbs?
Dobbs.
I have Fields one spot higher.
Good or bad trade? Trade CJ Stroud for Swift and Zach Wilson. I also have Josh Allen. Is this a 2 QB league?
I mean, even Stroud for Swift in a 2 QB league is how I'm viewing it. It's fine if you have Josh Allen. I still think you're going to start Josh Allen ahead of CJ Stroud.
If it's a 2 QB league, I would much rather have Josh Allen and CJ Stroud than Josh Allen, DeAndre Swift, and Zach Wilson. So I would hate it in a 2 QB league.
Yeah. Lockett or Collins this week?
Lockett.
Yep.
And finally, lost Mark
Andrews. Part of
Oh.
that. You missed the second part of it.
Ferguson or McBride rest of season?
McBride.
Lost Andrews last night. Any trade suggestions from Nathan? Tight end trade suggestions.
I know in a few of my leagues I have Ferguson as a second tight end. I would be looking to try to acquire someone like that. Maybe Kmet, maybe McBride. You know, the guys that have been picked up, of course, over the course of the season. Maybe Kincaid. You know, stupid me. I traded Kincaid last night in the league where I had Andrews. Evan Ingram might be on somebody's bench. Look, it sucks, but Kyle Pitts is probably on somebody's bench this week because they're on a bye.
I dropped him in at least one league this week.
There you go. So
I'd be looking to add Pat Freiermuth, who's about 50% rostered. I did put out a trade in one of my leagues where I had Andrews for Freiermuth just to see if I can get him for, some bench wide receiver. And then Ingram feels like a pretty solid trade candidate just because I do think we'll see better days ahead for him just because of natural touchdown regression. He's never been a good touchdown guy, but he has 0 on 68 targets. He had 4 on 98 last year. So
next 2 weeks are fantastic for Ingram. Cincinnati and Houston. I forget the order, but those are the 2 worst teams at defending tight ends. So Logan Thomas is probably on somebody's bench. You can get him cheap. And again, the guys we mentioned on Friday's show. Chris said one, Freiermuth, my favorite still, Tyler Conklin in PPR based on what he's done the last couple of games. Thomas, might be available in some leagues. He's 70% rostered. Luke Musgrave has been coming on lately. That's another guy, so there are several options out there for you if you're desperate. And then once we get to waivers, clearly you'll put in a claim for Isaiah Likely just to see if there's something there. And don't forget about Tanner Hudson too. We don't know the quarterback situation for the Bengals, but the last 3 games he's been more involved.
Yeah, I just think that's a T. Higgins thing.
It very well could be. 100%.
I don't know that Higgins will be back next week.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, folks, have a great weekend. And yeah, that's it. Chris, outro the show for me. Go ahead. You can do it.
No.
Antonio Gibson's listed as doubtful, by the way.
I saw that, yeah. Well, we're going to go now. Thanks for being here. Talk to you on Sunday morning on Fantasy Football Today. See you, everybody.